Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Esteban's Blood Box, where we're here to talk about things metal, all things around metal, and such. Today is episode number 2 of the Spotlight on the Dungeon Synth label Uralte Herrschaft Productions from Germany. Finally got to listen and give a good listen to the other half of the projects that were sent to me from Uralte Herrschaft Productions, and I just gotta say, nothing disappointed me. Everything that was sent to me from this label was absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited to share the other half with you. So we're just going to start right off the bat. Most of the releases I received from Uralte Herrschaft were CD releases, which does seem like that's kind of one of their main things that they do. Dungeon Synth used to primarily be cassette releases, but it has since grown to both vinyl and CD releases. But I did receive one vinyl record from Uralte Herrschaft, which is the, let's see if you can see it all there. Yeah, there you go. The Thangorodrim and Haryon split that came out. If you're a Dungeon Synth fan, you've seen this one floating around. This was a really big release when it came out. Does look like, I know with a lot of these projects, because all of the Dungeon Synth labels kind of work together in a sense to do distribution through various places. Uralte Herrschaft being out of Germany, I know they work with a lot of labels out of the US to sort of get some European music over here and US music over there. But this one does, I think this one maybe came out actually through Uralte Herrschaft Productions. If not, they were definitely a big part of it. Which, because, and I'll explain in a minute why, someone involved with this was really cool and a surprise to me. So, but yeah, absolutely fantastic album. So Thangorodrim is definitely a project that is one of the bigger projects in Dungeon Synth. I think they've been around for quite some time. One that's really popular with a lot of people who are into Dungeon Synth. Something you'll hear me say a lot in this video is this music sounds orchestral. I said that in the last one too, though the last batch of albums had some different Dungeon Synth vibes to it. A lot of these are very orchestral oriented Dungeon Synths, so more higher production values, more going on with various aspects of it. So yeah, I'm just gonna inherently repeat myself a lot on that. But Thangorodrim, I always have trouble saying that. Thangorodrim is very orchestral in its presentation. Does have black metal vocals in some of the music through it. There's 2 tracks from each artist here. But yeah, definitely has that black metal vocal added in. And as I've said in some previous Dungeon Synth videos, and kind of addressing it as I'm sure some of you maybe aren't familiar with Dungeon Synth, black metal is sort of where a lot of Dungeon Synth stems from. Kind of its origin comes from some second wave black metal roots, so you still get some crossover like that, and it's executed really well. The tracks on here, which are Durin, the Deathless, and Dimril Dale, the Place of Shadowed Dreams, are the 2 Thangorodrim tracks. Absolutely fantastic. In the last video with Uralte Herrschaft Productions, if you got to check out the Screen Gear album and you liked that, you'd probably dig this too. Though I think Thangorodrim has been around much longer than Screen Gear. Similar kind of vibe with that. There's also some classical elements, like classical Renaissance-esque elements, like tambourine is in here a little bit. If you're familiar with Fief, there are some elements like that in here, but certainly more of the big orchestral stuff, not so much the small sort of medieval style. But very big. Hint of sorrow in it as well, sort of like I did on the last video, kind of equating it to what's the environment that sort of the music brings up. I would say this is, again, similar to some others, very much of a journeyful music, not album because it's half of an album, but this half of the album is very much sort of setting out on a journey again, very big, very powerful in the way it is executed. So really fantastic stuff. And then on side B is Haryam, which is not a project I am super familiar with, and if I'm not mistaken from some liner notes, that's kind of one of the surprises in here for me, which I will get to in a moment. But starts off with some big drums, horns, same sort of thing, where again, orchestral in the way in the Dungeon Synth that is provided here. very big and orchestral. They both fit really well together, both Thangorodrim and Haryon. This one feels like you're maybe into the journey a little bit more, talking about that. Both sides of this definitely have a narrative feel to them. They feel like they are a part of a story that is being told, if that makes sense. Very beautiful in their execution. Also, maybe a little more action on the second song of this album. You did listen to yourself to see what you think, but very, very well executed. And something very cool that I found out about this, which just furthers my respect for Murgrind. So, and Dungeon Synth people out there in the comments, help me out on this if I'm mistaken. I believe Thangorodrim is the same person behind Thief. I think that's the case. That individual is a part of a lot of different projects. And in which case, I think that is Glorund, who is this individual right here. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So that's Thangorodrim. And again, possibly person behind Thief and some other projects as well. So, didn't know this till I got this album and looked into it. Mirrorgrind. So, I believe Mirrorgrind, if I'm not mistaken again, is Haryon, side B of this. So, yeah, Murgrind is one hell of a musician, one very talented individual, lots of different projects that are all amazing. So yeah, there's that included on here. Kind of cool to get the portraits of both of them too. But this was an absolutely amazing release. Kind of cool. I like how some of the art direction on this as well. So on the album cover, you can see there's these two hands sort of coming together, representing both artists. On the Thangorodrim side, it's sort of the skeletal hand there, and then on the Haryon side, it's more of that softer hand. So kind of tells you which artist is which side. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, absolutely fantastic release. This one is, you know, I should have checked. I think still available, possibly through Uralte Herrschaft Productions. I think actually most of these projects that I have here are still available through the bandcamp of Uralte Herrschaft. So be sure to get on there, check out the projects. If you like them, be sure to purchase them from the label. Support the label, support the artist, as always. So moving right along. So it's kind of the first one. Very cool to get a vinyl record. Though that's a pretty big deal to get one of those because those are not cheap. But same with the CDs, as you'll see with some of the CDs that were included. They are very, very high quality. So next up is another pretty big album in the Dungeon Synth scene, Mournful Moon. If you can see it there. There we go. So this one in this batch of albums that I'm talking about is probably the one that's a little more different than the others. This one is a little more of your sort of definitely old school dungeon synth, but a singular synth, if you will. Even though there's multiple synths within the music, it sounds more like maybe analog synth instead of computer-based synths. Little bit rawer, not as raw as something like Hedge Wizard or something like that, but it definitely a little more raw than some of these other projects. Which is kind of it's supposed to, from what you can tell. It's beautiful music. It's really well done. As the album cover shows, it's kind of that sort of old school, almost Xeroxed image there. So very cool artwork, some cult photographs of the artist. But yeah, this one is really good. The name of the album is As the Shadows Fall Over Zenitheaen. So again, talking about it being more analog synth, it has a little, well, it starts off with kind of a moody piano and then some kind of wobbly synth that comes in, which follows over through the second song as well. This album kind of gives you a feel of almost some old horror movie type music a little bit. I don't know if this one's considered vampiric dungeon synth, but I find it to be similar to that. Sort of like Draped in Shadows from the first video I did. So if you are into that kind of stuff, you'd probably be into this. Again, I don't know if it's actually classified as vampiric dungeon synth, but it fits that vibe. Talking about the environment it invokes, sort of you're in that dark kind of castle, maybe the dungeon of the castle kind of thing. So the album artwork fits it perfectly. Beautiful music, really, really love it. And then it's kind of fun because the last track which is, if I can read it here, As the Plague Beats My Hands, I think is what it says. That's a little hard to read the writing there, but the last track almost kind of has a dancier kind of vibe to it. I know that sounds strange, I'll just have to listen to it to know what I'm talking about, but it's a really well done album, very well executed, very beautiful stuff. So, moving right along here, let me get my other one up. So, finally getting to the man, the legend himself and the main project, I of course got a copy of Murgrind, The Fallen Kingdom. So again, my discovery through going through the Uralte Herrschaft stuff. Of course, Murgrind is the man behind Uralte Herrschaft Productions, but also going through these, realizing how many projects this guy does. It's just absolutely incredible, and every single one is top-notch music. So it's finally nice to get to Murgrind. I've been familiar with Murgrind, the project, for some time. Still one I hadn't quite made my way to yet. I'm working through a lot of old Dungeon Synth to fill all of the information that's out there. But finally got to hear this. This is a meaty album. What I mean by that is it has 11 tracks, which is a lot for a Dungeon Synth album. So this is a big one. Really beautiful stuff here. Kind of the whole package. If I was relating it like the other ones to a journey or something, or where it would be, this is the entire journey. As some are like the beginning of the journey, being in a castle, being in a dungeon, something like this. You get everything with this album, front to back, front to start. Again, somewhat narrative in its presentation. I don't think it's like a concept album. I don't know anything about that. I'm not sure if it is, but it feels like it's a very narrative-oriented album, so you kind of have some kind of story that's going on with it. Gorgeous music, very big. I will say again, orchestral Dungeon Synth here. Big, heavy drums coming in the first song. Then track 3 is really gorgeous. So you have this big opener. I think track 2, if I'm not mistaken, kind of does the same thing. And then track 3, you sort of have this light rain falling. Sounds like you're maybe in like a very mossy forest or something like that. Very calming, very peaceful. And just really creates that beautiful atmosphere with that. And then it does grow as it goes on. You get some battle sounds going on in the background. And then, kind of turns sorrowful through the song itself. And that's just one song. You got 11 tracks that are as detailed as that one is. So this is just an absolutely incredible album. Again, representative of, you've got some battles going on, some sound effects with that, but also that feel of some of the songs. Certainly solitude, epicness, and also some maybe self-reflection going on in there as well. Really beautiful stuff. Really beautiful artwork that Murgrind uses on their albums too, and I would say this with any of the man Murgrind, any of his projects, all do the same thing. Really solid art direction on it, but really cool painting here. Get you a view of the inside. It's a beautiful castle. Looks like it sounds. Solid artwork to represent that. So you get the Murgrind. Looks like there's maybe a bind rune included there for the symbolism. Yeah, just really professional, high-quality CDs with this. One of the big debates in the CD world, and I collect everything, cassettes, CDs, vinyl, all of it, but some people are not big fans of digipacks. I assume it's because if they get damaged, you can't really replace them. But I personally love digipacks. If you don't know what I'm talking about by that, digipacks are where the CD sort of folds out instead of being like in a replaceable jewel case. I prefer it this way because I'm a music collector. I like having something that is more permanent to the project itself. You just gotta take care of your stuff, But yeah, very gorgeous layout and design and music with this. This one is limited to 500 copies. Most of these CDs are between, I think, 200 and 300, or about 300 and 500 copies. They're usually what they are limited to. But really beautiful stuff. Obviously one to check out. My favorite phrase. So yeah, that was Murgrind. Really nice to get to the Murgrind album again. Insanely talented guy. Cannot hype him up enough. Just really amazing music coming out from him. And last but not least, this is one I was really excited to get. just when I opened up the package, I was super excited about how many albums Uralte Herrschaft sent me. I was really surprised and honored to have that many sent to me. But man, when I saw this one, I was so stoked because I had not gotten a copy of it yet, but it was on my list to get very soon. And that is Three Emperors, an incredible album with three of some of the biggest names in Dungeon Synth. So you've got Murgrind, L4, and Baraktor. Again, all big names in Dungeon Synth. It was really cool when they came together and did this. I guess you'd call it a split, but it's like a three-way split, you know, between three artists. So Murgrind has 3 songs, L4 has one 25-minute song, and then Baraktor has 3 songs. And I assume so, but I'm not 100% sure if this is the case, but this feels like it is, again, like I said before with Murgrind stuff, a narrative tale with these 3 artists, certainly by the album art. I would assume that, you know, each of them being the 3 emperors, it's sort of this, maybe this journey to reclaim an empire or claim a new empire, and you get that with each one. So Murgrind is the first artist on there with the first tracks up here. Similar to this, you know, I'm going to say a lot of the same things about it because it is a very similar in its presentation. Narrative, orchestral, the words I keep using. But also it's just 3 songs, but similar to the Murgrind album, the solo album, you get a lot of information in those 3 songs. It feels like a journey within itself, which really is a great way to start the track. You get some of that big, you know, big time music, big instrumentation coming out right off the bat with it. It's really beautiful, kind of, the first song's kind of big, then gets smaller, then gets big again. So it's just really fantastic. You get a really good experience with it. And what's nice about it is then you slide into L4. So L4 is a band I've talked about in some of my other videos. L4 is one of those crossover musicians. So L4 has some straightforward black metal albums, some straightforward Dungeon Synth albums, and then some albums that are a combination of both. And they've come out with a lot of work. And on this one, this is straightforward Dungeon Synth. And again, it's a 25-minute song. So instead of it being different tracks, it's one long song that all fits together. It is, of course, as I will keep saying, and I'm going to keep saying, I'm saying it over and over and over, orchestral, obviously. But it builds, and it's very atmospheric. It's a song that really builds throughout its entire length, and is very atmospheric in that as well. There's a lot going on, some emotional, I would say emotional type stuff with it. Certainly the meat of the journey, if you will, if this were to be considered a journey with these 3 characters. You get a lot in it. And you also get your black metal vocals in this as well, similar to Thangorodrim. So of course L4 being a black metal musician includes some of that in here. So musically, straightforward Dungeon Synth, but vocal-wise, you get some black metal vocals. And then that all leads to the ending, which is Baraktor, which has some different things going on. So the very first song from Baraktor is a very kingly sounding song. You know, you get your horns, your trumpets, sort of a little more positive sounds. So whatever the journey was that these 3 emperors were going on, it was successful, and you get that by the end, or by the first song from Baraktor. It's a sort of triumphant, track to introduce the Baraktor part of this album. And then the second song sort of has a sort of like a dance hall vibe, in the sense of, like, think of like a night, you know, a castle dance hall with sort of your instrumentation of dancey type music from back then, if that makes any sense. Related a little bit to Thief, sort of that kind of medieval sound. I know I use Thief as a reference a lot, but they're kind of the pinnacle band when it comes to your traditional medieval sounding music. So it's, and a lot of people listen to Thief, so that's why it's a good one to compare it to. But yeah, you get that sort of, again, successful journey. This is sort of the celebration afterwards, introduction in the second song. But then it does sort of switch over to a more victorious, bigger, open sounding musicianship or quality after that. So a lot of movement within just the second song itself. And then of course the ending is a very epic ending to complete the album. So it's just very solid completion to this whole journey. And there, yeah, this is again, using kind of the same thing with the last one, a meaty album in the sense that there's a lot going on in it. And it's just really cool. It's awesome to have these musicians doing this together. Love the representation of all of them on there. Really beautiful album artwork. I am not 100% sure, but I think it might be the same artist who did some of the work for Uralte Herrschaft's extra little bits that you can get when you order. For instance, the Supreme Dungeon Synth art card that I got with mine, as you can see here. It's one of the extras. If you you get some extras thrown in whenever you make orders through Uralte Herrschaft that are random, and some are if you purchase a certain amount, or if you get a certain, if you don't buy all the releases, you get some extra stuff too. But I do think it's very similar artwork between the album and that card here. Both very gorgeous, as you can see. So that's pretty cool. Go through here. So again, you get some of the album artwork. Really nice atmospheric stuff going on there. Very dark. Creates the mood of the album, which is just beautiful. Well, I think it's beautiful. It's dark, but it's beautiful. Here's kind of adding to the story of it all. Looks like you got your three characters sort of battling in possibly a mead hall or the entrance to a castle. Maybe the castle that they're journeying to on the back here. But yeah, you've got them all going into battle. And then there's sort of the throne without them on it. I think it's about like kind of the same. Yeah, without the... They haven't been throned yet. Cool logo emblem, sort of combining all of the weapons that each one uses. So, if I'm not mistaken, I actually think it's Barak Tor here, who uses an axe. Then L4, who uses a, I forget what that's called, not a mace, but a chain with a spiked ball on the end of it. And then Murgrind with the sword there. So they have an emblem that shows all of their instruments of pain, if you will, on it. So just a killer album. Really one I was excited about. It's one that a lot of people are very excited about and have loved. It's been out for a bit now, so... But yeah, that's the last few albums from Uralte Herrschaft Productions. Again, absolutely amazing label as a whole. All of the projects that are out on it are fantastic. Mirrorgrind, I will just say again, is an insanely talented individual. Had no idea they were involved in this many projects, but am honored to have gotten to spend some time with them and be sent these albums from Uralte Herrschaft Productions. So Murgrind, thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. Again, go to the bandcamps. Those will all be posted at the bottom. Go check out all of this music. Purchase it directly from Uralte Herrschaft Productions. Support the label. Support the artists. Keep the community alive within Dungeon Synth. It's a wonderful thing, and I enjoy being a part of it. So, as always, my friends, thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here. Feel free to share this around. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. You know, that's the YouTube thing. You got to get subscribers. But I appreciate you all being here. Thank you again, Uralte Herrschaft. Love you all. Be safe out there, and we will see you next time.